Hey man, how you doing? You good?
I'll say your best man.
Well, keeping yourselves for CDC, so it shuts down.
They're shut
A big portion of it is gonna be in and out, but that's just how it is.
Is it, preschool kids?
No,
I guess he picked that.
I just brought it over.
Well, so like I said, it probably
And
better to give
that's
like.
he sent me a message today, he said, I talked to your dad, I realized who you were. But you had a different haircut, when you were my guidance counselor, and a different name, I said, yeah.
How are you? All right.
We had to.
You tired?
I was already in
More,
bed
it
when
was
I
just
never asked him.
scandalous the amount of money it
Because I
cost.
had to real short hair.
But you know what it costs.
He said, I connected the dots together. He said, I used to work in your office. I said, yeah, in the guidance office.
Hey, Mr.
It's my
Eddie.
aides.
How are you?
Good, got some good news a while ago.
he's
Candy texted me, her
His
kids
sister,
were
Christy.
sick, so she took both her kids and got them tested
Sweet
a
girl.
while ago, and she just sent me a text back that said they both
Good
negative, so
family.
that's the,
Yay.
Yes.
she thought, she thought that it was, and
Baby.
of course, the thing about it is that she says they're gonna get the vaccine as soon as they say it, when they're,
I'm
yeah,
just
when
doing
they're
good.
old enough,
Rail
or they
nine.
say it's.
What they're saying, 12?
Yeah.
12 and over now?
Those in kindergarten now, so we got a raise. Not having to pay daycare.
My understanding.
Fine.
Daniel, when did you leave home?
When I leave home,
Yeah,
15 minutes ago.
well, it looks dark back that way, that's the reason I was wondering. Is it rocking yet? You hear me say, I just heard on the radio that we're under severe weather advisory till 5:15.
Oh, okay. It looks,
We had to pay off this year. But we got some people that don't, they don't believe in death. But
Crazy, crazy.
sometimes you got to
I'm just trying to figure out, like, I took food out there last week, and I
raise that.
told them, and I go out there, and they go, no, I'm not going to eat it.
We're only gonna try to get you. Get back. So, we kind of met in the middle. I said, all right, well, we're gonna have at least
So we can have it like
Sorry.
that every day.
50,000
And then
or
we go back
something like
next
that.
Thursday.
And then,
Mary goes back Monday.
yeah, it's amazing when, one and two was there. And we redid the, Sunday school wing. Somebody just made an anonymous donation, just paid the whole thing. He called it, you come to the church, I'm like, oh, no, that's wrong. And he got us all together and said, hey, it's done. I just leave here.
I remember that day.
That was crazy. I said, hey, I'm not gonna be worried about,
See, when I was in Yogi,
you know, you just need to jump on board and watch them work.
You gonna call Jean?
so from this.
And Miss
Kay Dunn,
she may be in rain, I don't know.
that's what I
She's supposed to be here. Michelle was supposed to let you all know that she's not.
I was at like that table and they were.
Well, another thing that said it's the, like northwest
Or discipline on.
of Advil is where there's some of the stuff is.
Anyway, I was back.
So she may be coming through it.
That's what I think.
Mr. Davis, did you see that big note on that paper?
Like that table from you. You know, but I wasn't at some over there. She did it connect that.
Okay, let's
She
see.
just got in the hospital yesterday. But she was like, she called me, she was like, I got it. So I called the nurse there, I said, you know the girl said, and she said, well, I did quarantine. And I said, when you came in, I could be 11 minutes, so I had 5.
that's
Hey,
a
Miss-
regional.
hey, Miss
School
Jean.
board invited to Wilson, Texas.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. I've got you on speaker.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
Thanks.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, it doesn't take long, and you get credit for the training. All right, I've got, a little after 5, so we'll, get started. Do we have anybody that wants to, open us in prayer?
I will.
Okay.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for who you are, for what you're doing in and through our lives. We ask that your blessings and favor be upon each board member as they make decisions concerning the students and employees of our county. So we thank you in advance for all you do, and we thank you for safety for everyone and all our children. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, call the regular meeting of the Henry County Board of Education, Thursday, August 12th, 2021, at 5 o'clock p.m. at the central office in Eddyville. Let the record show that Mr. Davis, Mr. Watson, Mr. McCraney are here in person. Ms. Bush has joined us via telephone. The only one absent is Ms. Wiggins, and I think she is on her way, so she should be here probably before we adjourn. All right, first item on the agenda is that recommend that we approve the written agenda. Motion by Mr. Watson, we have a second. Second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Record show that the 3 members present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. All right, item number 2. Recommend the recognition of speakers from the floor for 2 minutes. Have none of those. All right, item 3. Superintendent's report. Ms. Beasley.
Okay, and so what I'm gonna actually pass something out to you all. Over the last few days, I've been, getting with the nurses on our numbers and what we're looking at. If you look, I have 811, and then I also put 812 because I talked with them this afternoon too. The Q that you see, that's quarantine. That's how many students are in quarantine. That's the percentage, and I've got it broken down by each school. I also have a P, which means for positive. That's how that percentage rate is how many students are positive at that school. And if you look at 811, and I really want you to focus on the Headland Middle on the quarantine, where we went from yesterday to today. You can see that that's a pretty big jump. Our high schools are kind of staying about the same as where they're at, but you know, we are almost in for our full week, and we're steadily seeing our numbers move up. And I'm going to also give you what I gave you at work session. You'll take one and pass it down. And this is the back to school guidance. This is what the Alabama Department of Public Health, this is, you know, their recommendations for us when we return back to school. And I want you to focus in on page 3. If you'll flip over to page 3, I want to talk about our close contacts, because we have been following what the Alabama Department of Public Health has said. And it says that on close contacts, the CDC definition is someone that's within 6 feet of an infected person for a cumulative of 15 minutes over a 24-hour period. And that person can also affect, even have been asymptomatic over 48 hours. That's the last 2 days. So an affected person can spread starting from day 2 before they have any symptoms. So what that means is that 6 feet, 15 minutes cumulative over a 24-hour period, and that's in the last 48 hours. Now, this, the back to school, their guidance says that there are some exceptions there. Those exceptions, and I put a star, and so you can see where it says excludes students. 3 feet or more if both students were engaged in the consistent and current use of well-fitted masks. Okay? The next one is the preventive strategies, which that means the universal masking. If you flip over to page 4, it talks about students that do not have to quarantine. Asymptomatic, vaccinated, close contacts do not have to be sent home, but should be monitored for symptoms and then isolate if symptoms do develop. And then the next point says asymptomatic close contacts who have tested positive for and recovered from COVID in the prior 3 months. And if they're not showing any symptoms, then they do not have to be sent home. So you're looking at what the past 2 days, and you know, when you look at like the flu, which is not, I'm not saying that the flu is the same thing, but typically that schools have closed their doors when it's hit about 30% of their, you know, their population. So when you look at this, we're rising, you know, and I think we just might need to revisit something there with our masks, because you see what it says, that if they are 3 feet and both have masks, so 3 feet or more, and if both have masks on, if I test positive and Mr. McCraney is 3 feet or more and he has his mask on, he does not have to quarantine. And what we found is that a lot of our quarantines are not showing any symptoms, but you know what? They're out for 14 days. And my goal is that I want us to be in school. I do not want us to not be in school. So I do think that we might need to look at this a little more close, because like I said, we've gone, tomorrow will be a week, and we've not had masks, and when I go into schools, I'm not seeing a lot of masks being worn. Even though we say we're recommending, it's just consistently not being worn in the schools. And so, you know, that's where we're at.
At this rate,
At this rate, if we went and looked at it like how we do with 30%, we're getting close to 30%, and I don't want to shut a school down. I want to be systematic about this, and I think that we need to look at an approach, not saying all year long, or, you know, I don't think you hit a hammer over it. I think that you look at it and you say, okay, let's really get good data, like maybe a 2-week period, and see what that 2-week period looks like if you do wear masks. Are our numbers going to start dropping, you know, and revisit? So, I mean, is there any discussion with that?
well, I believe that the worst thing we can do is close the schools again. I think the detrimental effect on our students from missing a year last year, a lot of the time this time, is going to be detrimental to them. So our overriding goal, is, this is just my opinion, is that we do everything we can do to keep the schools open. All right, if that means we've got to require masks so that we can shorten that quarantine radius to keep kids who are not sick in school, then I think that's what we need to be looking at. And that's, again, that's my opinion. There are a lot of people that have a lot of opinions about masks, and politics has gotten involved in all of this, but at the end of the day, the 6 of us are responsible for the 2,000 plus folks in this school system, and I'm okay with taking any heat that we take for requiring masks. That's just me. If you don't want to take the heat, then you ought not to be in these positions. Because the question is gonna be, if we keep going like we're going, and we have to quarantine everybody within 6 feet, we're gonna have whole schools closed up. And so, to me, I think that's a risk that's not worth taking, but again.
I
it's
mean,
not-
I had a parent that, they called, their child, had to quarantine over, the summer because of an extracurricular, extracurricular. And, so they came back 2 days ago, and they came into close contact, and they're going back in quarantine. And, so they're losing instruction, and at the end of the day, safety has to be first, but we won't, and we know that the teacher effect is the key. And so that's why I think that we need to look at for 2 weeks and look and come back together and say, what does our data show? And then come back with more data and say, okay, we see a decrease. So what we're doing is working, or if we see that it's an increase, we need to look at it and move through it.
I have been adamant that starting school with masks. I've been adamant that total protection as far as we can possibly go. Because once this virus gets in that school system, it's hard to get out. I'm saying that everything we can do, and you know that vaccination is the #1 thing. Now, but we have not tried to influence that. Other school systems have, and they've had a lot of success at it. Now it's in there. Now let me just point out something else. If a student has on a mask in a classroom, this is the Delta virus, and one student in that classroom is reading that app for 2 or 3 hours, that mask won't hold it off. The way you're going to keep it off is several people wearing it, so it doesn't come out, plus it's protected from coming in. So if you just got 1 or 2 wearing masks, it's not going to help you, just like I'm sitting here now. If I'm sitting here 2 hours and somebody ain't got a virus, these masks won't protect me. Cloud masks are only 20%. KN95s or 95s are 95%. But within a couple of hour period, if you're in a locked up room, it will penetrate that mask. So Ms. Beasley, that's from the beginning. I said that we need to do more than just masks. But we need to do everything we can, but we have not done it. Now my question is, have we provided any masks for these kids?
We do provide masks. We have masks that
Is
are
it cloud
provided.
masks? or
If
what?
they are at the school, we have masks. If a child wants to, we have them on the bus because the bus is mandated. And so yes, we have plenty of masks. That's not the issue.
Okay, I'm not saying, I'm just asking.
I'm just
have
saying
you
that's not
provided?
an issue.
But, okay, I'm all with you on, yes, we need to try masks and see how many students we can get away with. This is one thing. We're going to have to, at some point, try to at least influence some kids to take the vaccine, because eventually, you're going to have to do it anyway.
Okay, and so I'm gonna refer to Ms. Campbell on that, because we can't say you gotta have a
That's
vaccination.
not true. It's not true. We can influence kids to do it.
We
But
cannot
other
force
schools are
kids.
doing it. Matter of fact, they even giving rewards. They give out color TV. And they got 30%.
A lot of school districts are actually mandating masks, and if you don't.
No, vaccinations.
Oh, vaccinate, no.
We're not mandating, I'm saying, Ms. Campbell, you know and I know. It's about 7% of the schools in the state of Alabama are influencing and giving awards for people who take the vaccine. They taking the health department, bringing it to the school.
The health department has not, I asked Ms. Peterson, they have not even contacted her. I
I'm
think
saying
because
the
they
school
are so
system hasn't bought
bombarded.
in.
But what I'm saying is they are so bombarded trying to give out actual vaccinations in their office.
Miss Beasley.
And we're gonna follow this
Okay,
guidance,
well,
which is the Alabama Department of
Well,
Public Health.
just let me say this. You're not going to end this virus. This Delta virus is now in Henry County. And the best way to fight it is at least try to get 25 to 35% of your student body vaccinated. Because once it gets started, you can't stop it.
You
Mayor, oh, I'm sorry.
You are correct on the face coverings. There's a lot of data about facial coverings and cloth, the fibrous mask. You might as well just throw those in the garbage. So, you know, if we can do our best to, you know, try to encourage people to get a solid mask instead of making their own or, you know, whatever. The only two ways we can fight this is vaccines and masking. That's our best tools, and of course hand hygiene and all that, but most of this is aerosol. So, you know, unless we put all of our students in a vacuum, you know, we're not gonna do any. You know, we're seeing the data as it continues to rise. So.
And then another thing to look at, Mr. Watson, look at the environment. Florida has no beds, Georgia has no beds, Alabama got just a trace. Montgomery, Birmingham, Huntsville, no beds. If we have a serious breakout, our kids can't even go to the hospital.
Yeah, today there's 4,000 new infections and 35 deaths in Alabama.
Yeah.
So I think it would be prudent for us to do everything we can. And like I said, I'm willing to take the heat for it too. You know, if that's all we have, let's see it if it works, and then come back
And at our work session on August the 30th, we look at the data and see what our data is showing us.
Is this data for students only?
And this is the entire population.
Because we're looking at, if it's the student, just think about it, if the kids are teachers.
Yeah.
And
Because
it's
Campus
hitting,
Services
I will
won't
say,
have anybody to come in.
and I will say, it's hitting we have more students. You know, last time with the last variant last year, we had it where we were struggling to stay open because we had so many faculty and staff that were out. This is more hitting with, and again, if you look, it's more about the quarantine. When you really stop and look at it, because if you look at the positive cases, like one person in a class that's positive knocks out a pile of students. And especially if they're at a middle or high school level, we've actually started that in 4th, 5th, and 6th, well, 4th and 5th and 6th is where they're able to go with their class, that their seating chart has to stay the same. That way that they're around the same people and not intermingling, like I'm not with you in this class and then with you in the next class sitting, you know.
Vaccinated don't have to be quarantined.
Do they still have carry the plexiglass little thing with
They
them?
don't carry the plexiglass,
Is
and
it
that's
that little
can be a protective measure, but it is not like the, you know, they're not saying that, and we put up those plexiglass.
Was it something that the students carried last year, it wasn't?
No, we had some plexiglass that were like at the tables where they were doing like small group and stuff of that nature. Now we have brought that out, and that's a protective measure. But the CDC does not use. That's not a mask.
Well, city, they also did research on those plexiglasses on the desk, and the results came back that it was very little effective. So this stuff's all in the air. And Ms. Beaver, let me make this statement. When you say you want to fight this thing with just masks, you're fighting with one hand.
I didn't say I want to fight with just.
Let me make my statement. Okay? You're fighting with one hand. Mr. Watson just told you there's two ways to fight this thing. Fight it with the mask and fight it with vaccination. Now, I'm not saying make nobody do nothing, but these other schools that had so much success in just trying to influence kids to do it and give an award, they got 40% of the student body vaccinated.
Okay.
So that means nobody who's vaccinated got to be quarantined, athletes. And it was just a matter of bringing that clinic to the school. That's what happened.
But I want to leave that up to the parents.
Well, that is the parents. We're not making nobody do anything. All we're doing is bringing it out there so it's available to them. And parents got to sign off on it before they take it. And they gave out awards.
Okay.
They gave out gift certificates. And 40% of the student body got vaccinated. So I'm saying you're fighting with one hand.
might be a viable option, because you look at, you know, people getting vaccinated now, they've already started the drive-through at the medical center again, and, you know, but the other issue, I think, is the workload on the teachers for the quarantine people, because you have to get a packet for this, a packet for that one, do I want virtual, do I want this, do I want that, you know?
And so that's where I think the mask,
will help.
that's where this is coming back to. I know that it is overloading for everyone, and you think about our nurses that are having to make those close contacts. So, I'm not saying that this is the answer of all answers, but what I'm saying is that I think we need to look and see what this data will show us over a 2-week period and come back in August.
Now, what's first, is this the Delta virus or this the regular virus that these kids are getting?
Most of us are Delta.
That's 6 times more contagious. And you know the report on that. If you in a room with one student, that mask won't help you. It'll penetrate that mask. Just one.
Did you have anything this week?
No, I agree with you. I think that we need to take the bullet for this and try to.
Okay. Ms. Bush, any comments?
Nothing, I couldn't understand, anybody but, Miss Beasley, and, you're clear, but I don't understand what the problem is. I go along with what Miss Beasley is saying about the mask, coming back with the data. We are not gonna be able to mandate somebody taking a vaccine until they can prove that, show you the facts that these work, or what they might cause, or things like that. That is a personal choice. If you've been vaccinated, then either you believe that that vaccine's gonna work for you or not. But we can't tell people, I can't in good conscience, when I don't know what the long-term effects or things will be on people, and especially children. That's all I have to say.
Well, let me make one more statement behind that. And I don't know if I totally was misunderstood. I'm not saying make nobody do nothing. I'm talking about put it out there so if they want it, our job is to influence them to do it. We're not gonna make anybody do anything. We can do like the other school system has done in this state, and that is put it out there, influence it, and make it available.
Okay.
So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make nobody do nothing.
All right.
Is this something that we need to vote on, or is this something that you're going to do as far as the mask requirement?
I would like to put this as an amend and put this as a line item and let it be up to a vote.
I agree. So the process.
That way it's shown that it's all of us.
Sure. So what we need to, the first thing we need to do is we need to make a motion to amend the agenda
Yes.
to include this item. Can I get a motion to amend our agenda?
So can we add something to that?
Sure.
We don't have hand sanitizer. We ought to supply other stuff.
We do have plenty of that, yes, sir. Absolutely, we do.
When you just told me in the other meeting that they're gonna have to bring their own.
No, but we
You had it
have,
on the supply list.
but we have plenty also.
Well, you didn't tell me that. So let me just get it straight now. So
We are
parents
in
will
good
know.
shape. We
So
are in good
parents will
shape.
know.
With all of our
There's plenty-
sanitizer stuff.
So that parents will know that there's plenty of hand sanitizer and plenty of the stuff that with masks and all of this stuff available to their kids. So if they can't afford hand sanitizer, it'll be available to them.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I want to know now, because I've gotten some people call me, say they didn't have it and it wasn't in it.
Sure. Well, we got plenty of money to buy it, so we need
Well,
to
we
buy
sure
it.
need to get it.
All right, Mr. Watson makes a motion that we amend the agenda to discuss, to have a mask mandate. We need to add that to the agenda. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Wiggins.
And we're doing it for 2 weeks, is that right, and revisiting?
Well, we'll add it to the agenda and then we'll do the
Okay.
thing. All right, any discussion on that agenda item addition? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. Let record show that those present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes, for adding it to the agenda.
Ms. Bush votes yes to add it to the agenda. Let's go ahead and add it. Can we do it now? We don't have to do it at the end, do we? All right, so we'll make that item 3A, I guess. And the recommendation by the superintendent is that we begin a 2-week mask mandate in all of our schools to be reevaluated after that 2-week period to see if we need
On
to continue.
August 30th.
On August 30th.
At our work session.
All right, that's the recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve that recommendation?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Bush, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wiggins. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Let the record show that all present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes, so the item 3A carries.
Mr. Crane, when, just tomorrow?
Well, here it is. Okay.
Start, I mean, I'll be glad to put it on our site if it's gonna be tomorrow.
From August 13th to the 30th.
But I'll leave, you know, I'll go put it on our site, you go make it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. But I just know that we'll have some that, and that we can provide them with
Sure, right.
whatever.
Absolutely, we could, tomorrow will be, we'll roll it out, those that don't have it.
There's
we'll
not gonna be
recommend
any
it.
punitive if they don't come in with their, we have to realize that.
You need to make that clear.
That's right.
We'll get it tomorrow, and if they don't have a mask, you go furnish them.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll put that little caveat in there on our website here, just,
And if you would, Eddie, in the paper or however you're gonna do this is as much us trying to keep the schools open. Because
That's what-
if we require masks and people have masks on, then the radius of people that has to quarantine shrinks. Right now, we have so many people out that are not sick, but that are quarantined, that we're leading to have to shut the schools down if we're not careful. So what we're trying to do is keep that quarantine amount of folks down for as long as we can. Okay? And if I could, Mr. Davis,
Yeah, go ahead.
I do think it's worth looking into what Mr. Davis is talking about. If we can do anything to encourage employees and encourage students to get the vaccine, and we don't take any liability that looks like we're requiring anything, or if anybody's gonna be singled out for not getting it.
I don't want any
stuff.
punitive
Nothing there.
damages if
But-
they choose not to.
Could we look into what other schools are doing to see if there's any information that we can post in the schools, anything that we can say that says, you know, the vaccines are free, they're at the health department at these dates, or they're at drugstores or whatever, just something that we can say we are encouraging people to get a vaccine and keep us completely out of the fray if something comes up 5 years from now that there was an issue with this vaccine and somebody took it because we recommended it, we get sued.
Tim, that sounds extremely good, and I can give you two schools now, Goshen and Clayton.
Okay.
Kid got a television.
Sure. All right. Anything else, Ms. Beasley? Great job.
I think that's it.
That it? All right, now we're down to item number 4. Nomination of all state board members. What do we do here? Just if we have any nominees that we want to make a nomination for all state. Do anybody want to nominate anyone to be an all state? And I would think Ms. Wiggins and Mr. Davis and Ms. Bush would all qualify. I don't know if Mr. Watson and I would. Don't you have to be a certain time or a certain length of time?
It's usually not a certain length of time, but it helps if you have served on some of the state committees.
Okay.
Or if you're doing work in the community, like when Eddie was here, he had done a lot of work with the, taking in foster children and all that, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right,
How many can we recommend?
You usually want to recommend one, and it's a lengthy application that you have to fill out.
Well, I'd like to recommend Tiffany Roy and Ms. Renee
Okay,
Gardner.
okay, hold on. This is for,
Board members.
board
Oh, I'm
members.
sorry.
Yeah, board members.
Anybody have any nominees at this time on item 4? Would anybody like to nominate themselves?
And it's self-nomination.
Absolutely.
Miss Jean, you want me to nominate you?
I'd second it.
No, thank you. If you would accept it, I'd nominate you, Mary, because we were told once that we really should send in a nomination.
Well, I'll second the nomination of Ms. Wiggins. All right, all in favor of recommending Ms. Wiggins, raise your hand. Let the record show that Ms. Wiggins, Mr. Watson, Mr. McCraney voted yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Davis abstains. All right, item 5. Recommend the board approve the board meeting minutes from June the 28th, 2021, July the 8th, 2021, and July the 22nd, 2021. Motion by Mr. Watson, do we have a second? Second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All those present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. All right, item number 6. Recommend the board approve the pre-K facilitator pay to change to 6% of OSR grant. Motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Wiggins, second. Second by Mr. Watson, discussion.
This is the max that can be given, and you know, with the pre-K, in their budget, they have someone that handles, and they have many regulations that they have to go through, at Abbeville Elementary and at Hadlin Elementary. So, the facilitator handles all the regulations, makes sure that they're compliant, and they get, the facilitator, and this has been a continuous thing.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor, raise your hand. All those present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. Item number 7. Recommend the board approve the pre-K auxiliary teacher pay schedule revision. Motion by Mr. Watson. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion?
And you know, I gave you the sheet that showed where they had their starting pay, and so what we did, if you look, I gave you the starting pay, but everybody gets a step, and so we just went in line with the amount of increment by their steps. So their steps would be the same amount that everybody else gets at those times.
Okay.
But the starting pay has to start there because they have to go through much more professional development.
Gotcha. Any questions? All in favor, raise your hand. All those present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. Item number 8. Recommend the board approve the sale of 5 school buses on govdeals.com. Motion? By Mr. Watson, second.
Second.
Mr. Davis, discussion.
We do this every year. We sell off the ones that have come off.
What do we normally get for a school bus when we do that?
Anywhere from 2,500 to 7,000.
So we have not found any way or fashion where a school board member can purchase one of those buses.
Not that I know of.
All right, all in favor, raise your hand.
It's gonna be a tiny house right now.
All present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. Item number 9, recommend the board approve Abbeville Pee Wee and Headland Pee Wee teams' use of facilities fees be waived for the 2021-2022 school year. Motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Bush, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion?
You know, Mr. Barnes came and talked at the work session, and I thought we would do this at a year by year, because if, you know, I just think we look at it yearly. And I think if we're going to do for Abbeville, then we need to do for Hadlin, and that would be vice versa.
Well, I think that's a good decision because the contribution that those small programs make to the varsity program, they're not no cost levied on the high school. Why would we want to, that's just discouraging our development. So I don't
At
see
one
why we
time
let
they-
that, you know.
I think at one time they were playing some at night and using
What I'm saying, the contribution that they make to our program. I mean, if you were a coach, you would know that you need that playing experience. You need that. You need that development, that involvement. More kids get involved.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. All those present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. Item number 10, recommend the board approve the personnel recommendation attached tier 2 as Exhibit A and made a part hereof. Motion by Mr. Watson, may I have a second? Second by Ms. Wiggins, discussion.
She turned in her resignation, to go to another school system, a couple of days before our school started. So I did, hold her through her official last day.
So, 30 days.
You can go up to 30 days.
There's a blackout here, there's no reason. They don't lose the 30 days.
All right.
You let her go right away?
What now?
Did you let her go right away, or she's still?
Her last, official last day would be tomorrow.
So we got somebody in the place?
We'll talk about that.
All I'm saying is we don't have to let her go for 30 days. Somehow, that's on the kids. That's depriving the kids of a teacher. All I'm saying is that I don't want to, misput nobody, make nobody.
We have a plan. We do have a plan.
Okay, but all I'm saying is that I just don't think we ought to do it anymore. Make it clear. We don't have to, we shouldn't do it, but all it does is hurt the kids. 30 days without a teacher, that's a pain.
All right, any other questions, comments? All in favor, please raise your hand. Those present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm voting no.
Vote no. All right, Mr. Davis votes no. Ms. Wiggins, Mr. Watson, Mr. McCraney vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. All right, item number 11. Recommend the board approve the personnel recommendation attached here to as Exhibit B and made a part hereof. Motion? Motion by Mr. Watson, second. Second by Ms. Wiggins, discussion.
We had 2 applicants. Most of the applicants had English degrees, but not certifications. And so this was the most qualified out of the 2. And it ran for, that is the position of where our instructional coach was the English teacher, and she was the next one on the list, and so she moved up to the middle school. And so that's where this hire is coming from.
And she's eligible for emergency.
Provisional, to go the provisional route and be on an emergency, because she has a degree in English.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. All those present vote yes. Ms. Wiggins, I'm sorry, Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. All right, item 12, making good headway. Recommend the board approve the personnel recommendation attached here to as Exhibit C and made a part hereof. Motion by Mr. Watson, second. Second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion?
Okay, if you remember at the work session, I gave you a Teams packet, and it had the years of experience and their degree, and this is what, if you'll look, these are the ones, and what I did, I put for the whole month of July. If they chose and would like to go this route, I made them apply for this position. And when I say apply, on the state website. That way, if they did not want to go this route, they were not, but they could make that choice one way or the other. It was on for the whole month of July. They came in and talked to me. We went through all of the items of what it would entail, such as if you look, everyone on the list, with the exception of one, would be provisional. Provisional is 1 year because they don't meet the professional development requirements such as National Board Certification or STEM. And so they will have to complete or make the adequate progress towards that completion for year 1 in order to get a second contract. Now, I will say number 6, you see he's advanced, he's National Board Certified. So he is eligible for a 3-year based off of the years of experience. He's for a contract for 3 years.
Number 6, what is that degree?
Number 6 is a AA.
Oh, certification.
Certification, but he's National Board Certified, so he's eligible to get the advanced.
Okay.
Whereas everyone else does not have those, does not have either the STEM or the National Board, so they're provisional which means a 1 year.
And these folks have voluntarily given up
They
tenure.
know that they would be giving up tenure if they're, approved.
Are there any other questions?
And we are holding them
Responsible,
accountable for
moving our students.
this. What kind of
Close.
data you have, you'll figure out how we can track that down.
Our instructional coach who will be working with them and be working with our data will be helping to do that in the school also.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. And all those present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. Item number 13, recommend the board approve the coaching supplements attached here to as Exhibit D and made a part hereof. Motion by Mr. Watson, do we have a second? Second by Ms. Wiggins, discussion.
These are the recommendations from the principals, and if you'll see, there are some slots that are still open, and once those slots, then we will that will be brought before the board.
Why are we paying football assistants more than basketball assistants? Why are we paying football assistants?
Okay, that's something that the board had approved on what the supplement pay was
We approved that?
last year.
We must have been crazy.
Were you-
How can we, listen,
We have talked about it, but never came back to the table.
we were going to come back, we got the table, this is crazy. I mean, my whole life has been basketball and football. And I just want to tell you, there's no advantage. Basketball is twice as long, and I'm not taking nothing from football. I just want to tell you, you can't pay one amount and pay to earn another amount. How can we do this? I mean, we got several school boards don't do that. AEA's got a problem with that.
Could we come back and could they approve just the coaches and then come back at maybe the August 30th to do a revised?
Yes.
Can we just revise the coaching, the basketball coaching supplement?
Well, let's look back and make sure that everybody is in line before. But that was approved to be here for last year.
But like Mary said, we were going to get to it, but we scratched it off, never got
Okay, and
back to it.
I was not part of that, so.
Okay, so tonight we'll approve everything except assistant basketball coach, is that right?
Well, let me look at the,
Or
No,
not?
I think we're approving the personnel, and then we come back and do a special call on August the 30th
For the
and
actual
do an adjusted salary schedule.
All right,
Some may change
Okay.
it, some may not.
okay.
now, they have a basketball coach. Now, who appoints the high school girls coach? Who does that?
Our principals, they are the ones that make these recommendations to me, and then I put them before you all.
No, you never put that in front of us. We have not voted on who that coach is gonna be.
You're
This is what
fixing
they're doing it now.
No, I'm talking about, we have not, this is the salary, this is not who the coach is.
Now, this is the coaches.
This is gonna be the coaches, and then it's gonna be salaries on
But
the
then
budget.
we're gonna vote, well, wait a minute now. We're going to vote on who's gonna coach what.
Yes.
Plus, we're gonna vote on the salaries that they're going to get simultaneously.
No, sir, the salaries part will be in the end of August.
Okay, well, can we vote on this individual? We can't vote on all these as a group, can we? Because we got new coaches coming in, we gotta vote on. I mean, the coaches that's been there, yeah, but the new ones.
If he wants to vote no.
So we
And
can,
I guess just
I
say,
can't vote on, these some
What?
great coaches.
No,
I'm
no.
trying to see the new coaches, Mary, that we have not been coaching and coming in new this year. We need to vote on them whether they're gonna be the coach or
Well, if
not.
their name is not on here.
Their name is on there.
Okay, so what we're
But
doing.
I can't vote on all the coaches.
but Mr. Davis, if you want to, we can vote on this, but you can say, I vote no on
Right,
Aggieville basketball
Right,
coach,
right.
if you want to do it that way.
right.
You can, if you want to take, everybody wants to take a minute and go through these?
Well, can we, there's a lot of information that we need to know before we vote on this person's getting this position. I don't think the board knows anything about this person. And I think there's some things we need to know. And to me now, y'all was trying to slip that past us. We were gonna vote as a whole on every coach, even the new ones coming in, and we already got these other coaches, we already know, we already voted on them.
But we're gonna do it exactly the same way we did the rest of them.
I'm trying to tell you, we voted on these other coaches, but they've been here. This is a new coach, taking over the basketball program. We have not voted on this coach.
Is this how we've always done it?
No.
We
Look at who's
still
in-
do the same thing as personnel, you can vote no, that's how we've done it in
Well,
the
we
past,
can't-
it's like the
we
personnel,
can't-
yes and no, separating it out.
We can't vote on all, there's no numbers, you know, there's no,
Well, but like you said, you could say,
Are you
Amity
aware
high
there's
school
a-
basketball.
are you aware there's a new coach?
If it's not on.
I'm just asking you, are you aware that the girls' coach is new? It's a new coach.
Do I, at
Are
Amity
you
high
aware of
school?
that?
Yes, I read the list.
Well, I'm saying, we have not voted on this individual. We were finna vote as a group.
Well, let's do it where, when I call your name, you can vote yes on all, or
Can we-
yes on everything except.
Tim, since we're gonna wait on, the money, why don't we just wait on all of it?
Will that cause an
That
issue?
might, because of, with payroll, if
Payroll.
they're getting, they might lose out on getting a supplement this month.
When are we meeting?
Just don't do that.
When are we meeting?
August 30th, and our payroll cutoff is, I mean, that's the day before their check would be dropped. We have to have it into the bank
I'm saying,
before that date.
well, the ones that's already on there, I'm saying we can, I mean, they can get their checks. I'm just saying, there's some things, you know, concerning this individual that the board should know, and you can vote how you want to vote. But we need to go into executive session and discuss this individual. I mean, you know, they should care.
All right, what's the mood of the board as far as how we handle this? Ms. Wiggins, what do you think? What do you want to do?
I'm okay with voting it, like we have in the past individually, personnel, and if you're looking at the list, if you wanna say, athletic director from Abbeville High School, I vote no, if that's what needs to be done, I think that's the routine that we have, so I don't know any.
That's what I'm saying. Ms. Wiggins, you in District 4, right?
Yes, I
So
am.
we are trying our best to put some good coaches in there. We're supposed to look at who's coaching. Now, we got one coach that we know has really, really failed. Failed. The one that the head basketball coach, really, really failed. Broke all kind of records that we never broke before. Won 3 ball games. That's why I said we need to take a good look at who we're putting at the girls' head coach. Don't just throw them in there. Let's take a look.
So,
No, we're gonna have another mess. We already got a bad mess. Now, you're the person over District 4. So you need to take a look. Well, I don't want to
I
get into
vote like the regular people, like we have done in the past, individually.
Okay,
You
Mr.
said since I'm on District 4, I vote.
All right,
You
Mr.
just
Watson,
throwing
what do
anybody
you?
in there just like you throw the head basketball coach in. It's on you.
It's on this board.
Because, no, no, it's on you. You're supposed to speak up for your
That's the
position.
principal, the principal is the one that approves them.
Ms. Bush, what do you think about,
I totally can't understand what's being said. Are you asking to vote on,
yeah, we're
is
going,
it just Abbeville High School?
no ma'am, it's the list of all the coaches at both schools, and what we'll do is you'll have an opportunity to vote yes on everything, or if you want to single a different position, don't name a name, but if you want to say, no for a specific position, you can do that, it'll be noted. All right, okay, all right, Miss Wiggins,
I'm gonna vote yes for, both supplements of the high schools.
okay, Mr. Davis, and we can come back if you want me to, if you want to look over that. All right, Mr. Watson,
I vote yes for the coaches.
okay, Ms. Bush,
Yes, for all.
yes for all, okay, I vote yes for all. All right, Mr. Davis?
Well, let me make one statement. Tim, can I make one statement?
Sure. Absolutely.
Now, I love him. I love him. Nobody on this board is from Abbeville. 1, 2, 3, 4, Abbeville. Y'all are putting terrible, terrible coaches at Abbeville High School. And I know you're not from here, I
That's
don't
your
wanna keep-
opinion.
well, it's proof. He won 3 ball games, okay? And you don't know nothing about this other coach that has been recommended.
But I have to
Never
trust
coached
the
before.
people, that the
Well,
people.
what I'm saying, the data has shown you, Mr. Watson, that it's all wrong. And listen, it's been wrong for 6 years. Every coach that come there has been fired or left within a year or 2.
Okay.
You made 5 super mistakes, 5 in a row.
You're
Now,
gonna vote on it too, so
huh?
you're gonna vote on it too.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote it, but I'm just saying, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 people from heaven.
My district goes into Abbeville too, so
I'm
I'm
just saying,
here
well, this is
for
what I'm
both.
saying.
Okay. Now, that's your opinion, and that's fine,
Okay,
but
yeah,
don't
that's what
tell
I'm
me
saying.
that I'm making decisions
Okay.
that are
But
detrimental to
all I'm
Abbeville.
saying is you're making mistakes, because
I'm tired
you
of
can
it.
look at the data, I don't care what the title is, I'm giving facts.
You're not giving facts,
I'm making a
but
statement.
you make
If
a
you don't
statement.
like it, you can say what you wanna say, I'll say what I wanna say.
Say what you want to say.
Thank you. And I will say it.
And I'll say it too.
Okay, say what you wanna say.
Okay, finish.
Just let me say what I wanna say. All of these decisions that y'all are making are
That we-
bad decisions,
We,
and facts will show, I vote against it.
well, vote against it,
I
and let's
did.
move on.
You don't tell me what to do now. Okay. This is what we need to do. This is what I'm saying. Every coach that's been hired, this board hired, and every coach has either been fired or just messed up and left. So all of them have been bad decisions. So all I'm saying, and the last coach was a terrible decision. And all I'm saying is we need to take a look at this coach that we're fixing to hire. Never coached before. Never had a head coach. And there are some more people out there, and I'm just looking at the record of Abbeville High School that I helped make it what it is. And it hurts me to see it go down the drain. Some people don't care because they're not from here. So all I'm saying, Mr. Watson, I'm sorry to disagree with you. I love you to death. I got a lot of respect for you. A lot. But we disagree terribly. And Abbeville is close to me. Helen is close to me. But we need to take a look at these coaches closer, because it's really just messing up the school. I'm telling you. Down here.
Who else applied for this position? That's the next thing.
They didn't give
If
nobody
we
an
don't-
opportunity.
If we don't approve them, there's nobody to coach them.
Nobody got an opportunity to apply, Mr. Watson. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't broadcast. It wasn't that.
All right,
We
let's,
hire teachers
We have-
first, and this is,
Okay, you got-
this is extracurricular. And, you know,
That's right.
I also think that, you know, just because you have one bad record doesn't mean that it's going to be consistent. You may have to be in a rebuilding. You know, that happens from time to time.
You don't know nothing about basketball.
Well, there are other factors than just a coach.
I agree.
Okay, so you can't just say, these people from Headland made a poor decision on a coach. We're trusting that the administration is gonna do their due diligence and put a coach in there that's gonna affect the kids.
So what I'm
Whether they
saying-
win or they lose, do they have good moral character?
What
What I'm
They're-
saying, Mr.
are they
Watson, is
mentors?
this. Once
You know.
they have made, every hire was a mistake. It's time to start looking at their hire.
Okay.
It
but we
starts
also-
taking
We
time
have
to
one
start
that was
questioning.
2A.
That's fine, we can question. But what I'm saying is there are other factors besides just putting up a coach.
I
I
agree.
coach,
I agree.
and there have been years I was terrible because there was no athletes there, or they wouldn't listen, or whatever.
That's
Oh, you
not the
can't
case
do
here
that.
now. That's not the case here.
Hey, listen, I didn't do so well in my 10 years as an intramural softball coach. I got
Well, I know, Mr.
my
Watson.
daughters team at all. So,
I'm just saying, you can't blame it on the coach.
Well, listen now. I've been around basketball my whole life, 30 years. I know there's plenty of talent out there.
But I
And
also
winning
think
3
that
ball
last
games is
year was a
unacceptable.
COVID year too.
And to be a laughing stock of the community when the program was up.
Don't you agree that last year was a COVID year and that makes a
Everybody had
difference?
COVID, Miss Beasley. Everybody had it. Listen,
I had it.
I stood there looking at the games. I know.
all right.
I don't want to see Abbeville get to be the laughing stock of the community. I'm tired of it.
Okay, Mr. Davis, do you wanna, vote, how do you wanna vote on this list?
I'm just not here to vote. I'm just not gonna vote.
Not gonna vote. All right, so we have, Ms. Wiggins, Mr. Watson, Mr. Craney vote yes, Ms. Bush,
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes, and Mr. Davis, did not wanna vote. All right, that's item, was that 13? 14. Recommend the board approve the agreement with School Panda Consulting Group for professional development using positive behavioral intervention supports in the amount of $23,250.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Bush, to have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion?
I brought the agreements, and talked with you all about, this at the work session. And I did say that it would be around 19,000, but we did put a couple of extra days at the end, so that it would be year-long, because we feel like the sustainability will be there if we run it throughout the year.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor, raise your hand. 4 present vote yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. Item 15, recommend the board approve the mental health coordinator's salary adjustment to $32,000, effective August 13, 2021, funded with a mental health services grant. Motion. Motion by Mr. Watson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Davis. Discussion.
I talked about this, we had originally budgeted a lot for her travel, but it looks like she will not be able to use that, and we want to be able to give her all of her, all of that budget to her and not send back to the state.
All right, any discussion, questions, comments? All in favor, raise your hand. Everybody present votes yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Bush votes yes. One thing,
Go ahead.
no ma'am, go ahead.
Before we, I know I missed, I was late with raining cats and dogs. Well, not cats, and horses. But anyway, how many more vacancies on your superintendent report?
Okay.
How was it?
And so we had the elementary rescinded. And then, right now, the elementary is all that we have, so I will say that we are looking at, I reached out to Ms. McGahey, at Troy Dothan today. We have done this in the past when we are unable to find, an applicant. She has found one that is on the alternate A, so they're working toward their master's in elementary, and the lady is very interested and is going to come and meet with me and the principal on Monday morning.
All right, let it, Ms. Wiggins.
That's what, floors, I went over and they had an open house the other night. Floors, have we got that taken care of?
Yes, we have, yes ma'am, and we've reached to Russian because we've had a couple of issues with, at night, the door has been left open, a door stop, and so I've reached out in that.
And security is, we're getting ready to get the security.
Yes, and that will take care of itself, because they will be given that fob to go in, and if they do try to put a door stop, after 15 minutes, it'll alert the principal, that is open.
One more.
Okay.
You only get 4.
The cleaning of the house next to Abbott.
Okay, I went by there today to look at it. We're going to, yes.
All right, that's it.
Is that it? All right, one other thing, what about the Schneider deal?
Okay, I tabled, because we talked, I didn't put it on the agenda. And so what I did, I talked with Mr. Jones, he's coming on August the 30th, because you all asked for that at the work session, so he'll be here August the 30th.
One, all right.
And then we'll move forward from there. How about that?
That sounds good. All right, item 16, recommend the board enter
And
into.
before you do that, usually we have, exit the executive session as well. And you've got entering into, but you need to amend the agenda again.
Okay, we need to amend, thank you, Ms. Campbell. We need to amend the agenda to include an item that to recommend that the board come out of executive session. We'll make that.
Just leave them in there.
We'll make that item 16A. Can we get a motion to amend the agenda? Mr. Watson, second. Ms. Wiggins, all in favor? Everybody votes yes. Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Yes, all right, we will amend that agenda. There you go. All right, item 16, recommend the board enter into executive session. Motion? Mr. Watson, second. Ms. Wiggins, all in favor? Ms. Bush?
Yes.
Yes, if everybody would please clear the room. Except board members and superintendent.
All right. Maybe it won't be flooding so bad.
That has to be turned off.
How are you?
Oh, yeah.
And now Miss Bush can stay on.
And I took my shoes off, so I went home, messed my shoes.
Got flooded.
Oh, I thought, well, tornado.
That's
Remind me of the year we was in the tornado.
Huh?
I said, remind me of the year we was in the tornado in the gym.
Love y'all.
Yeah, they're just saying it was really bad.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty bad.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, baby,
And so, all recording devices have to be